fire that works for you. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces. Out of the ordinary products and services since 1977.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for partly cloudy skies today with a high near 89. Tonight, a slight chance for thunderstorms with a low around 70. And Saturday, more storms with a high around 83. Tap, taste, and treasure at Vinaigrette. They offer the finest in extra virgin olive oils, white balsamic vinegars, wine vinegars, and more. Reintroduce yourself to all of the many flavors by tasting before you buy. Vinaigrette is located off 50th and Xerxes in Minneapolis or at vinaigrettemn.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. I'm Todd Mikkelson, sitting in again for the Matt McNeil Show. I'll be on all next week as well, except Friday. They're going to play some best of stuff on Friday because we're heading into the 4th of July weekend already. Next weekend, not this weekend, next weekend. Today's June 23rd from the Space and Time Continuum, speaking at you. The craziness goes on in Washington, D.C. We'll be talking about that, but we're also going to be talking a little bit of Minnesota stuff, and we're going to have a special guest at around 4:30, 4:35. We're going to have Mike Lester, who is a local comedian. He's got gigs tonight at 8 and tomorrow at 9 at Laugh Camp Comedy Club in St. Paul. And so we're going to talk to him for a while. He used to be a pizza delivery guy, and so was I. So I think we'll have a lot in common. Also, we've got Representative Jamie Long scheduled to come in from the Minnesota DFL, and he's in the House right now. He's assistant leadership, I believe, and he's a really good guy. I know him from back when I used to be down at the Capitol all the time, and I'm looking forward to interviewing him on Tuesday. If everything goes as planned, is what I always say when we have the legislators scheduled to come in, because sometimes they, at the last minute, are not able to. However, it is summertime now, and the session is no longer in. That's the session is usually what makes them have to cancel. So I'm hoping to have Jamie Long on Tuesday. So I want to talk about some absolutely absurd events that have been occurring in Washington, D.C. I'm not sure where to begin, but I think we'll start with this. If you remember, in 2016, Papadopoulos, a guy named Papadopoulos, told an Australian government official of some sort that Russia was going to help Donald Trump, and they had dirt on Hillary Clinton. Way back in the election of 2016, in the early part. And the Australian official thought this is something the United States needs to know. So they told our intelligence or somebody, and the FBI did an investigation on what the hell's going on with this. Russia is messing with our election. Yeah, we need to check into this. And then later on, Donald Trump was like, there was no collusion, and the FBI is trying to, So he made his DOJ put up a special counsel to investigate the investigators. So he was investigating the FBI. Trump was just, this is in the early days of Trump spreading lies. So we were kind of, sideswiped by the whole thing, because nobody had ever lied in the way, again, like I always try to remind you of things from the past. And if you remember, remember the very first press conference, Sean Spicer, he was the first press secretary for Donald Trump. And the very first press conference, he said it was the most attended and most watched inaugural in the history of the world. And we were all like, what? I mean, we could all see with our eyes that that was absolutely false. And how could the president's press secretary get up in front of everybody and all the cameras and say such an obvious lie? Well, now we're used to it. Happens all the time with Trump and his people. And now with tons of Republican legislators. So getting back to the story about Papadopoulos, the special counsel that was put on the case 4 years ago, his name is John Durham, and he just delivered his report. So for 4 years, basically, I mean, it was just a few months, and they started saying, the John Durham report is going to come out, and it's going to make everybody know there was no collusion. It's going to exonerate me. It's going to get a whole bunch of Democrats arrested and thrown in jail. It's going to probably get Hillary thrown in jail. The Durham report is coming. The Durham report didn't come and didn't come and didn't come. Trump was getting really mad at Bill Barr saying, you know, that report has to come out before Election Day, and it didn't. And we're now kind of dumbfounded as to why it took 4 years, because there's basically nothing that it's hard to see what he was doing for 4 years, because there's basically no results. He put out a 300-page report that basically just is really bland and doesn't say anything that we didn't already know. He brought 2 cases that made it into court. He lost both of them. One guy pleaded guilty. He didn't even his case didn't even make it to court. He just pleaded guilty. It was a very minor charge. It was something on a form that he filled out, or some kind of minor thing. An FBI agent, I believe it was. But you know, he didn't have to get punished any more than, like, I think he got a little fine or something. So really nothing happened in the whole Durham investigation. But still, Jim Jordan. I got in my committee. I got to get John Durham. John Durham's coming in my committee. It's gonna bring Biden down. It's gonna bring Hunter down. It's gonna bring all the Democrats down. Donald Trump will be back in the White House by next week. He brings John Durham in for hearings, and it's even more disaster for the Republicans and John Durham. And John Durham used to be a respectable guy, people are saying. I didn't know anything about him, but, you know, other people who are lawyers, pundits who are lawyers, and they're like, John Durham was a very respected guy. I don't know why he agreed to do this, and he did such a horrible job, and he kind of made a fool out of himself. And this story is going to lead to 2 more stories coming up, but I want to play for you part of this committee hearing. So, Patrick, I'm going to have sound here. And notice that the person that's grilling John Durham here is Adam Schiff. And he's doing a great job. And he's reminding us all again of things from the past. And just for more reference, if you remember the Mueller report came out. It indicted tons of people, Russians. It found tons of collusion with Russia and the Trump campaign. And you're going to hear Adam Schiff refer to that. And the reason that the Republicans keep saying that there was no Russian collusion is because the Attorney General at the time, Bill Barr, came out after the Mueller report was released, and he said, I'm going to do a summarization of it. And it was weird because he did the summarization kind of simultaneously with the release. You know, it was obvious that it wasn't a reaction to the report. It was something he wrote even before he knew what the report was going to be. And his synopsis was basically, oh, there's nothing to see here, and there was no collusion. It was a lie. Again, a huge, huge, huge lie that would have blown our minds 6, 7 or more years ago. but now we're just used to it. So here is Adam Schiff grilling John Durham in a House committee hearing.
Mr. Durham, just so people remember what this is all about, let me ask you, the Mueller investigation revealed that Russia interfered in the 2016 election in sweeping and systemic fashion, correct?
That's correct.
And Russia did so through a social media campaign that favored Donald Trump and disparaged Hillary Clinton, correct?
The report says, yes.
And Mueller found that a Russian intelligence service hacked computers associated with the Clinton campaign and then released the stolen documents publicly. Is that right?
That report speaks for itself as well.
Mueller also reported that though he could not establish the crime of conspiracy beyond a reasonable doubt, he also said, quote, a statement that the investigation did not establish certain facts does not mean there was no evidence of those facts. That also appears in the report, doesn't it?
There's language to that effect, yes.
In fact,
So here's John Durham saying that everything Adam Schiff is laying out here, tons of Russian collusion, and we're only halfway through the list that he's going to go through here, which is only probably half of the list that's in the Mueller report. John Durham here, the special counsel, put in place in the Trump administration to investigate the investigators, is basically saying, yeah, the Mueller report did come up with Russian collusion with the Trump campaign back in 2016. Let's listen more.
you cited that very statement in your own report, did you not? As a way of distinguishing between proof beyond a reasonable doubt and evidence that falls short of proof beyond a reasonable doubt.
Correct.
As an illustration of this, both Mueller and congressional investigations found that Trump's campaign chairman, Paul Manafort, was secretly meeting with an operative linked to Russian intelligence named Konstantin Kilimnik, correct?
That's my understanding, yes.
And that Manafort, while chairman of the Trump campaign, gave that Russian intelligence operative the campaign's internal polling data, correct?
That's what I've read in the news, yes.
And that Manafort provided this information to Russian intelligence while Russian intelligence was engaged in that social media campaign and the release of stolen documents to help the Trump campaign, correct?
You may be getting beyond depth of my knowledge, but
well, let me say.
So here's where Durham realizes what's happening. And he realizes that Donald Trump, if he's watching this, is just throwing ketchup all over the place and screaming at everybody. So Durham he's starting to say things like, oh, it's what I read in the news, instead of, yes, I read that in the Mueller report. And Adam Schiff does a good job of keeping him on track anyway.
Simply, while Manafort, the campaign chairman for Donald Trump, was giving this Russian intelligence officer internal campaign polling data, Russian intelligence was helping the Trump campaign, weren't they?
I don't know that.
You really don't know
Sounds right.
those very basic facts of the investigation?
I know the general facts, yes. Do I know that particular fact myself? No. I mean, I know that I've read that in the media.
And are you aware, Mr. Durham, that Mueller and congressional investigations also revealed that Don Jr. was informed that a Russian official was offering the Trump campaign, quote, very high level and sensitive information, unquote, that would be incriminating if Hillary Clinton was part of, quote, Russia and its government support of Mr. Trump? You aware of that?
Sure, people get phone calls all the time from individuals who claim to have information like that.
Really, the son of a presidential candidate gets calls all the time from a foreign government offering dirt on their opponent? Is that what you're saying?
I don't think this is unique in your experience.
So you have other instances of the Russian government offering dirt on a presidential candidate to the presidential candidate's son. Is that what you're saying?
Would you repeat the question?
You said.
Yeah. This goes on for a couple more minutes. And, but if you remember, there was a meeting between Russian freaky people who called a meeting with Don Jr. in Trump Tower in 2016. Jared Kushner was there, but left the room because he could tell that this was a crime in progress. That's what Adam Schiff is referring to right now. And what happened with Trump's campaign manager giving internal polling to Russian, guys who were working with Putin in Russia, It was internal polling on key states. And what happened in those key states? Jill Stein got a huge boost. And she got more votes than what Trump lost to Hillary Clinton for in those states. Jill Stein was a Russian operative, and she was in Russia having dinner with Mike Flynn and Vladimir Putin. There's photos. And she ran as a Green Party candidate. And that's the reason that they ran her as a Green Party candidate, is because they knew the Green Party takes votes away from the Democratic candidate. And that's exactly what happened. She took enough votes away that Hillary Clinton lost to Donald Trump in those states. 3 key states, I think it was Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. And in all 3 of those states, she lost by, I think, 77,000 votes in all 3 states. So she just barely lost those 3 states. And a big part of the reason she lost was because Jill Stein was in the race as a Green Party candidate, put in there by Putin and the Russians. And showing them the internal polling was a guide to where they had the best chance of stealing votes from Hillary Clinton. And this is all stuff that has been proven. I'm not saying anything controversial here. It's the Republicans who lie about it. So Adam Schiff was a big part of this investigation of Russia and how Russia worked with and for the Trump campaign back in 2016. And that's why you've been hearing that he was censured by the House. Now, I just played you things here where John Durham, the special counsel put in place by the Trump administration, is answering to each of these questions that Adam Schiff is talking about the Mueller report. Adam Schiff is saying, he's saying the Mueller report reported Russian collusion in this manner. John Durham goes, yes. And in this manner, yes. They also reported Russian collusion in this manner. John Durham says, yes. So John Durham's not able to lie about it because he's under oath. So this is Adam Schiff proving that Adam Schiff was doing his job in going after the truth back in 2016 and since 2016. And the reason they censured him is because he helped find all these things out through investigations. And that's why Trump hates him. Shifty Schiff. Just get pencil neck. Pinhead, he called him all those names throughout the last, 5-6 years. And that's why then the Republicans put up a censure resolution for Adam Schiff. And Kevin McCarthy proudly brought the vote to the floor. It lost the first time, and then he went to all the people the Republicans who voted against it, and he said, okay, I'm bringing it to the floor again, and you are voting for it. And somehow held them in line. So Adam Schiff was censured 2 nights ago. And it's an atrocity. And then it's leading to the next story that we'll talk about when we come back from a short break. You're listening to AM 950, the Progressive Voice of Minnesota. Todd Mikkelson in for the Matt McNeil Show. And Patrick's on the board today. We'll be right back.
When it comes to houses, disassembly is our game. Deconstruction is our fame. There are some bucks for your project. Better Futures Minnesota is your contact.
Instead of demolishing your home, let us take it apart by hand, and we can find the building materials a new home. Limited funds are allotted in 2023 for Hennepin County residents and public entities to make deconstruction even more affordable. Check out betterfuturesminnesota.com. That's betterfuturesminnesota.com.
Ghost Boxers. You asked for it and you got it. Ghostbox Radio with Greg Bakken moves to 5 nights a week starting July 10th at 10 p.m. 5 nights of talking about ghosts, ufology, Bigfoot, and so much more. We're talking about the paranormal every Monday through Friday. Join us and step into the unknown with Ghostbox Radio with Greg Bakken starting Monday night, July 10th at 10 p.m. if you dare.
The place for summer fun is the Park Tavern. Live music is taking over the Park Tavern's dog-friendly patio this summer. Head over on Tuesday, June 27th for Bryce Heggie, Wednesday, June 28th for Ash St. John, and on Thursday, June 29th, it's Annalise L. Music runs from 5:30 p.m. to 8 p.m., and reservations are highly recommended. And the Park Tavern offers private and semi-private spaces for small and large groups with no room fees and no minimum spending requirements. On Louisiana Avenue, north of Highway 7 in St. Louis Park, get your summer groove on at the Park Tavern.
Don't drive too fast or you will miss Scott Jamama's Hot Barbecue. Scott Jamama's offers huge taste out of a little place. Located at 3 West Diamond Lake Road near the intersection of Nicollet Avenue and West Diamond Lake Road in Minneapolis, this tiny hole in the wall offers mouth-watering baby back ribs, grilled chicken, and half-pound pulled pork sandwiches. Don't forget to add the potato salad, spicy baked beans, twice-baked potatoes, and delicious desserts. Find their hours and full menu at scottjamamas.com.
Hi, this is Laura. Listen to Food Freedom Radio every Saturday at 8 a.m. or anytime via podcast. Our individual health is connected to the health of each other and connected to the health of the earth. We know the problems with the dominant food system: climate change, deadening soils, nitrates in the water, factory farming, injustice, concentration of wealth. How do we both as individuals and as a community step up and support a living food system which honors the earth? Tune to Food Freedom Radio every Saturday at 8 a.m. and remember to support your independent farmers. Seward Co-op is now offering convenient self-serve and prepackaged hot options and salad bars at both the Franklin and Friendship stores. Breakfast items available daily until 11 a.m. and brunch served all day every Sunday. Their weekly lunch and dinner menus highlight cuisines from around the world. They offer vegan, vegetarian, and gluten-free options daily. 95% of the ingredients used are organic from small-scale, local community food producers whenever possible. More at seward.coop.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Todd Mikkelson sitting in on the Matt McNeil Show. And we just talked about what Congress is doing in the House. And I've got more of that. They just spent their time censuring Adam Schiff because he did his job as a congressman and told the truth that Donald Trump doesn't like. Donald Trump doesn't like very many truths. And so they did that completely for Donald Trump. And now, today, two of Donald Trump's staunchest allies in the U.S. Congress have introduced legislation aimed at expunging the former president's two impeachments, a legislative maneuver without precedent in U.S. history. Representative Elise Stefanik, the number 4 House of Representatives Republican, and hardline Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene introduced a pair of resolutions that, if enacted, would aim to change the record as if such articles had never been passed. Trump, who is running for re-election in 2024, was twice impeached, as we know, by the then Democratic-controlled House in December 2019 over Ukraine, and again in January 2021 for his actions ahead of the deadly January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol by his supporters. Sometimes it's hard to remember exactly why he was impeached, especially the first time, because he's committed so many crimes since then. Now we're talking about multiple indictments. Anytime, both times he was acquitted by the Senate Republicans. But also never happened in U.S. history. I think it was 8 Republicans voted to indict him in the Senate. So first time that senators of the same party voted to get rid of the president through the impeachment process. Trump was just the 3rd U.S. president to be impeached by the House and is the only one in U.S. history to have been impeached twice. The effort to expunge his impeachment is without historical precedent. Georgetown University law professor Jonathan Turley, whose expert advice Republicans sometimes seek, he's a very far right. He's always on Fox News. He's very far right. I'm reading from Reuters, and they're being kind to him here. Jonathan Turley is very far to the right. But he says, he noted that the U.S. Constitution contains no provision for expunging impeachments. Turley says, it is not like a constitutional DUI. Once you're impeached, you're impeached. Turley said expungement could still be historically significant by declaring the early impeachments in error. However, that is the view of a different Congress at a different time. I don't know what that means. But of course, since he said that, that's what Kevin McCarthy said when he was asked a question by a reporter. He said, well, it might have been done in error. The Durham report proves that, which it absolutely doesn't. I just played for you John Durham admitting that Russia colluded with Trump in many ways. It's all in the Mueller report. And John Durham said, yeah, all those things are true. So Kevin McCarthy's saying, oh, the John Durham report proves what Turley here is saying. It could be declared that the impeachments were done in error. No. And they had nothing to do. You know, the first impeachment was because he was or not really blackmailing, but he was, kind of blackmailing Ukraine. What does that have to do with anything John Durham was working on? Green's 2-page resolution would expunge the 2019 impeachment, saying he was wrongfully accused of misconduct. Stefanik's 6-page measure would overturn his 2021 impeachment on grounds that his opponents failed to prove that he committed high crimes and misdemeanors. Neither of those things are true. Democrats called the move questionable, saying it demonstrated Republican fealty to the former president. The legality of doing it is highly questionable. That won't stop the Republicans from doing it, and it's just further placating Donald Trump, said Representative Dan Goldman, who was lead Democratic counsel in the 2019 impeachment. But Marjorie Taylor Greene insisted the move was necessary, calling Trump's impeachments just guess what she's calling them, a witch hunt. One of the former president's favorite terms. Yeah. He's the first sitting or former U.S. president to face criminal charges, with prosecutors in New York charging him over hush money payments. We already know all that stuff. He's being indicted multiple times. So it's just absolutely nuts what's going on the House floor. And, oh, by the way, are they doing it? I thought they wanted to get elected to get rid of inflation. Well, inflation's gone, but they didn't do anything about it. I mean, inflation's not gone, but it's on its way out. What else did they say they wanted to do? They wanted to fix the border. They're not doing that. They're not working on it at all. There's no committee hearings about any of this stuff. So anyway, we need to take another break, and I'll come back and play you another thing that happened on the House floor, but this is something that is good. Changes that are happening that are good. And I'll play you that when we come right back on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, Matt McNeil Show.
Hi, Twin Cities. This is Andy Otto, Executive Director of Twin Cities Pride. I'd like to personally invite you to this year's Pride Festival in Loring Park and the Sculpture Garden. We're proud to offer something for everyone. With more artists, over 50 food vendors, an expanded pet area, and new this year, an expanded senior space. We want our community seniors to make connections. So we've created a space just for them, with a huge tent, fans, cool water, and activities like bingo and yoga. We have displays from the LGBTQ plus walking history on site. We're hosting a free Saturday morning breakfast for seniors at 9 a.m., 1 hour before the park opens. We've also expanded our youth zone, which will feature arts and crafts, a performance stage, and a free clothing exchange program we're calling Rainbow Wardrobe. We're aiming to make 2023 the biggest, most inclusive festival yet. Mark your calendars, June 23rd through the 25th. Visit tcpride.org for more information, and I will see you there.
Hi, I'm Scott Shambot from Shambot Family Dentistry. We're the fear-free, shame-free dental office. We know dental anxiety and dental phobia are real. We'll take the time to get to know you and give you what you need to be comfortable at all times. We offer free nitrous oxide laughing gas and have high-tech options to help you feel calm and relaxed during your appointments. We'll help you get through every appointment in the most pain-free way possible. If you're having a dental emergency, we'll try and get you in the same day you call because we don't like to see anyone in pain. As my daughter Rachel says,
if you don't see my dad, please see another dentist. Take care of your teeth because they're the only ones you get.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. I've been going to Shambot Family Dentistry for years. They get me in last minute when I'm in pain and make regular checkups easy and comfortable.
Shambot Family Dentistry in Hopkins and St. Paul. Find them online at shamblotfamilydentistry.com or call 1-800-FIX-MY-TEETH.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. We have families waiting for a car. You know, over 85% of unemployed are successful in finding and keeping a job if they have dependable transportation. A car plus a job equals a life changed. 612-919-5526. We have families waiting for a car. 919-5526 or autotech.org.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for partly cloudy skies today with a high near 89. Tonight, a slight chance for thunderstorms with a low around 70. And Saturday, more storms with a high around 83.
If you've been waiting to replace those appliances, don't miss Warner Stellian's lowest prices of the season. Score instant savings, then up to 10% off, and a bonus for each additional appliance you buy. Put us to the test at warnerstellian.com.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, Todd Mikkelson sitting in on the Matt McNeil show on this Friday. And I will be sitting in for Matt next week as well. He's taking a vacation. He'll be back on July 5th. Is that on a Tuesday? I'm not sure.
That's a Wednesday. The 4th is Tuesday this year.
Okay. Yeah, really long weekend. We were talking about the goings-on on the floor, and I'm going to play you a clip here where it's pointed out that even though the things I just named happened in the last day and a half, and it's crazy, the only thing that's been going on the House floor has been crazy. You heard about the Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene scuffle that happened right in the middle of the House floor. And the thing that's not going on is moving bills through the House, trying to do things for the American people. And last week, almost 2 weeks ago on Monday night, they wanted to pull up a bill that would prevent Biden from taking away your gas stove. So when they were going to put up a bill, that's what they were working on. And then the craziest of the crazies basically said, no, we want to change the rules. And they stopped that bill from being voted on. I'm not sure exactly what all happened with that. But then it apparently took all week to try and talk about some new rules that the craziest of the crazies wanted to put on the House floor. Because Kevin McCarthy has absolutely no control over his own caucus. That's what you're supposed to be doing if you're the House Speaker. But he's not doing his job either. And one of our new heroes, Jim McGovern, he is a Democratic House member from Massachusetts. And it's great because he just sounds like he's from Boston. He's got a great Massachusetts accent. And he is one of the new voices on the House floor that really hit it hard, make a lot of sense, and say what needs to be said. And that's the good part That's what I said. This is going to be part of the good part, is that Democrats know how to do this now and are not afraid to do it. So here is a cut from Jim McGovern on the House floor.
Scientists are telling us we need to do more on climate change, and yet we are passing messaging bills about gas stoves. By the way, that's not even me calling them messaging bills. It's a Republican saying that. And I quote, this is a Republican, "We do not need to leave D.C. early because messaging bills are not coming to the House floor." That was Congresswoman Boebert last week. Or how about this one, and I quote, "When we pass things around here that are messaging bills that don't do anything, is it really a loss that we aren't passing anything?" End quote. I mean, their own members are saying that the bills that they are passing do nothing. That we're essentially they're just playing a messaging game. Is this really the best we can do with all the challenges that we face in this country and around the world? So, Mr. Speaker, it's great to see you again. How are you? It's been a while. You look terrific. We haven't had votes in 5 legislative days, all because some Republican members decided to throw a temper tantrum last week on the House floor, wanting to rehash legislation that was passed the week before. So what we saw was essentially a fight between the right wing and the extreme right wing. I mean, what the hell is going on here? With each passing week, it becomes more and more obvious that the Republican Party is completely out of touch with what everyday people care about in this country. We're bringing a new rule to the floor that incorporates the bills that we were supposed to do last week and adds an additional bill to make it easier to kill people. Reading the press, we see that members of the Freedom Caucus are saying they have this deal on power sharing. I'm not quite sure what that means. And power sharing with the Speaker and the extreme right wing, is that the deal? And then we hear from the Speaker that there's no deal on anything. So I don't know what the truth is, and maybe my friend can enlighten us at some point what the truth is. But my Republicans friends like to say that this place should be run like a business. Well, if they really believe that, then this place should be out of business, because this is not the way Congress should be run. This is not the way you run a democracy. This is ridiculous. You know, Democrats have worked tirelessly to try to lower costs for people, bring jobs back from China, rebuild our country, fight pollution, and keep our community safe. And Republicans, what do they stand for? Well, forgive me if I say I'm not entirely sure, because right now the only thing I have seen so far since they took over is dysfunction and disarray. Republicans began this Congress by wasting a week fighting with each other about who would be Speaker. Now we're 5 months in, and they've enacted 5 laws, 1 a month. Boy, what an achievement. Even Democrats and President Trump were able to enact 21 laws at this point. And now the far right fringe of the Republican Party, the same fringe that demanded Speaker McCarthy give them all of his power, has succeeded in even dictating to him what bills he can and can't bring to the House floor. This is important, and I want the American people to understand who is in charge here right now. It's not the Speaker of the House, it's not Kevin McCarthy, it's the far right of the far right. I mean, we have sitting members of the Republican conference right now openly advocating for civil war. These are the people calling the shots. Are you kidding me? In what world should the 11 most extreme people in the Republican Party get to dictate the entire agenda of a legislative body that represents 332 million people?
Yeah, so he's speaking the truth, and he's doing it right to the face of Kevin McCarthy on the House floor so that we can all hear it. I play some of these clips from these committee hearings and the House floor. They might sound a little bland, but I think that we need to know what's going on. I don't think the American people pay enough attention to what's going on in Congress. You know, it seems like a boring thing, but it's not. It's a extremely important thing in actuality, and we need to pay attention to what's going on. And the Democrats now are speaking up for us, and I think actually they're making it a lot less boring. I played you a clip yesterday from Daniel Goldman, who's another one who's really good at doing this on the House floor. So this is going to go down, and I don't know what Kevin McCarthy's doing. He really, really, really wanted to be Speaker of the House. And he is in name only. So it would be, let's see, Rhino, what would Speaker of the House in name only? Only? I don't know. But yeah, I think he just thinks he's going to be on a list. Brett and I were talking about this before, and we're like, what is he doing? He gave away all his power. So what is his function? He just wants to have his name on a list in the future, a list of people who were speakers of the House. He's not going to be, I guess he would be on that bland list, but there's going to be other lists that he's on. And it's not going to be the list that Nancy Pelosi's on. First woman Speaker of the House, along with most accomplished Speaker of the House in U.S. history. Kevin McCarthy's not going to be on those lists. The first one, of course, because he's not a woman, but he's not going to be on that second list. He's going to be on Speakers of the House that were the worst and most buffoon-like. And he's going to be on the very top of that list. We've had bad Republican Speaker of the House after bad Republican Speaker of the House. One of them is sitting in jail because what was he? A pedophile. Yeah, Denny Hastert is in prison for sexually assaulting young boys. And now we're on Kevin McCarthy. Although Denny Hastert was a worse person, he was actually a better Speaker of the House than Kevin McCarthy. Kevin McCarthy, I think will be, hopefully, I hope we don't get worse than him, but at the moment, he would be at the top of the list of worst Speakers of the House ever. And then we would just go backwards in time and to second, third, fourth, fifth on the list. So anyway, but thank God for people like Jim McGovern. And another thing is, I did on my podcast, I did a thing talking about the shift in media. And I think it's kind of an important observation to make. And I think there is a shift going on in the way people become informed. There's obviously bad things about it, but there's also good things about it. And we'll talk a little bit more about that when we come back from another short break. You're listening to AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Todd Mikkelson sitting in on the Matt McNeil Show. We'll be right back.
You hear a lot about Rudy Luther Toyota's hybrid cars, but maybe you're asking yourself, are they worth it? Let me say from experience, absolutely. I have a Toyota Sienna hybrid, and the proof is in the gas tank. Before my hybrid, I was filling up my tank once a week. Now it's consistently every 2 weeks. I did the math, and my hybrid is saving me over $1,000 every year. And the Toyota hybrids are some of the most stylish and comfortable vehicles you'll ever drive. Now's the time to get a Toyota hybrid. Set up a time to test drive one today at Rudy Luther Toyota, the southeast corner of 394 and 169 in Golden Valley.
Connections Radio Show is all about tapping into our hardwired hunger to connect. We examine meaningful connections to ourselves, our community, and the world around us. By opening the door to innovative insights by a wide variety of interesting guests, we'll make the connections to something bigger than ourselves. Join me, Lori Fitz, your host of Connections Radio Show, and together we'll make the connections. Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
The NLS Braille and Audio Reading Download Service gives patrons with visual impairments or physical limitations the freedom to read their way.
Barge is this beautiful web-based program for searching for books and for the ability to download them.
It's a great way to have a book with you without carrying a book.
For information about the National Library Service for the Blind and Physically Handicapped, Library of Congress, visit loc.gov/thatallmayread.
Hi, this is Angela Warner for Warner Stellian Appliance. Do you have a dishwasher that doesn't really clean your dishes, so you have to? Or a refrigerator that kind of keeps your milk cold and you've just been waiting for the right time to buy? Well, Warner Stellian has the lowest prices of the season with exclusive savings, including free dishwasher installation on brands like Bosch, and up to 10% off and a bonus for each additional appliance you buy for up to $1,000. See what I mean at warnerstellian.com.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Todd Mikkelson in on the Matt McNeil show for this week and next week. Matt is on vacation. I think he's been talking about going to the Taylor Swift concert, or at least his kid is going to the Taylor Swift concert. I think that's tonight. Is that right?
I think there's 2 shows tonight and tomorrow night.
Ah, right. All right. So yeah. Good news in Pennsylvania, in Philadelphia, a bridge fell down on a major highway, the Interstate 95, looks like in downtown Pennsylvania, because a truck carrying tons of gas crashed and burned, and it was so hot that it like melted the bridge. The bridge collapsed. And they originally said it was going to take months to fix, but now they have a temporary fix, and they've opened up lanes in both directions, apparently. It sounds like 2 lanes in each direction. In 2 weeks, instead of months, in weeks. Governor Josh Shapiro was working hard on it, as was the Biden administration. And that's how things are going when you let Democrats in to do stuff, unlike what Republicans are doing on the House floor right now. I was talking about watching and listening to what's going on the House floor more. I did a segment, an episode of my podcast, A Satellite View, a couple weeks ago, and I talked about what I was calling the shift in media. You know, Walter Cronkite used to be the kind of thing, I mean, kind of a long time ago now, but, you know, the 70s and 80s and even into the 90s, everybody would watch the nightly news for, you know, it would be on for a half an hour, and it could be trusted. They were just delivering the news. They weren't, it was back when networks had news that, you know, they separated their news from their entertainment. But it was pretty bland, you know, and I think that went on, and as things changed, and in the 90s when politics got much more nasty, even in the late 80s, I think, but certainly what, you know, Newt Gingrich started the really nastiness in the mid 90s, basically making the Republicans and Democrats enemies from each other, you know, talking about the Democrats as being anti-American and against America. The nightly news, the Walter Cronkite type of shows, they would just say, you know, the Speaker of the House said on the floor today that the Democrats are against the policies that would help Americans. And then they move on to the next story. They're not really telling, they would be afraid to say that it was a lie, you know? So people started to kind of go, yeah, that's a waste of my time. And cable started to come in. CNN got started. They were kind of the first one. Fox, sadly, got started as well. And now CNN is kind of thought of as that thing. They're afraid to call a lie. And now the shift here with Gen Z, a big shift going to like YouTube and podcasts and things like that. And there's a lot of healthy stuff going on. And you have more control over what you're watching. Now, the bad part is that the crazy people will only expose themselves to the crazy. But those of us who want to know what's going on, those of us who want to find the truth, those of us who want to try and help out, we find the good stuff, which is why I play for you sometimes, you know, things from the House floor. There, I don't know if there are shows that I get information from. One of them is Brian Tyler Cohen. He just does short segments, kind of up to the minute, all day long. He's got 2 million subscribers. I mean, the most watched shows on Fox get like 2 million viewers. This guy's got 2 million subscribers on his YouTube channel. The Midas Touch Network's got 1.3 million. They do a really good job. They're a bunch of lawyers, and they explain what's going on from a legal stance and weed out what's a lie and what's not a lie. There's an entity called the Young Turks. They've got 5.5 million subscribers. People getting their information from there. That's another good source. They put a lot of good information out there, and they try and get at the truth. I also, expose myself to people like Simon Rosenberg and Victor Shi. If you remember, before the 2022 elections, they were saying stuff that I was reporting sometimes when I was on the Matt McNeil show here, and then also on my podcast, A Satellite View. Simon Rosenberg and Victor Shi. Victor Shi is a very young guy. I think he just turned 21. So he's Gen Z. And he's very active in getting Gen Z activated. And Simon Rosenberg, he was the one who was saying, don't look at the polls. The polls are not accurate. For one thing, the polls are not including Gen Z because Gen Z you can't get to them by traditional polling standards. If you try calling them on their cell phone, they're not going to answer because they don't know who you are. And we've saw proof of that in the midterm elections. We saw proof of that in the Kansas election last summer, dealing with women's healthcare rights. We saw that in Wisconsin, again, dealing with women's healthcare rights. We saw it in Jacksonville, Florida, where Donna Deegan beat Daniel Davis for the Jacksonville, Florida mayor. Even though Davis outraised her 4-1, she won. The Democrat woman. And so Gen Z is turning out to vote, and Gen Z is getting their information from truthful sources. They're not fooled by the crazy. So this shift in media is kind of what I call it, for lack of a better term. And I think it's moving a lot of stuff, and I think that's why the Republicans are so off their game right now. They don't know how to live in this new world. They don't know how to function in the Gen Z world. They're kind of doomed. And we've been seeing that in election after election now for years. Then they were kind of activated by the 2016 election. And there's more and more of them every election. So it's almost time for us. We're at the end of our first hour already. So we're going to have to take a break and be back in a few minutes. Next hour, we're going to have a special guest. Mike Lester will be joining us at 4:35. Comedian from Minneapolis. That'll be fun. But we got a lot of other stuff to get to, as well as we're going to cover some good news in Minnesota here when we come back. On AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, Todd Mikkelson sitting in on the Matt McNeil Show.
No matter if you're eating out or cooking something at home, eatlocalminnesota.com has you covered with a list of locally owned restaurants and food purveyors. Locally owned Vinaigrette has been offering the finest olive oil and vinegar since 2009. Reintroduce yourself to all the many flavors by tasting before you buy. From darker white balsamic to cold-pressed extra virgin olive oil from all over the world, there is something for everyone. Vinaigrette, located at 50th and Xerxes in Minneapolis, or at vinaigrettemn.com. The Park Tavern is your go-to destination for fun. Enjoy the fantastic food like their pizzas, burgers, and sandwiches, the best bowling in Minnesota,
misdemeanors over his handling of the U.S. border with Mexico. This is AP News. The FDA warns stores to stop.
Okay, I'll fess up. One of my favorite parts of 4th of July is finding fun styles for the family to wear. And Kohl's makes it so easy. I found great deals on a cute skirt for me, some button-down shirts for my husband, and adorable shorts and dresses for my kids. Plus, I got us all tees and tanks and saved an extra 20% on everything. So, for summer style and savings, get to Kohl's. Select styles, 20% offer ends June 25th. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
We're going abroad for the first time in years, to Spain. So we started using Babbel.
And started learning Spanish fast.
With Babbel, you can start having conversations in another language in just 3 weeks.
¿Cómo te llamas? ¿Cómo te llamas?
When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind.
In just 3 weeks, we're starting to have conversations in Spanish. Gracias, Babbel.
Babbel, language for life. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com.
Would you let animals pick your insurance? Do you really need to experience mayhem to get the best rates? Or how about a celebrity quarterback or fake university saving you money? There's a lot of marketing stunts when it comes to insurance, but what you really need is someone looking out for you. Call Array Insurance, and they will work hard to find you the best insurance coverage and rates. To avoid gimmicks, call Cheryl at Array, 763-504-3067, or arrayinsurance.com. Array Insurance, working hard for you.
Since when are houses disposable?
I know. About half of what's in landfills are building materials that could be reused or recycled.
For the sake of the environment, this has got to stop.
There is money available to help Hennepin County residents and their contractors do the right thing. Reuse and recycle the building materials. You could earn $400 per ton for materials saved on a partial deconstruction of your next remodeling project, and up to $9,000 for a full deconstruction in Hennepin County.
Fixtures and cabinets?
All the way down to stair treads and 2x4s.
Flooring?
We floor you all day long, sister. Materials are sold at Better Futures Reuse Warehouse at 2620 Minnehaha Avenue in Minneapolis.
Don't demolish, deconstruct. Do the right thing, get money back. You nailed it, brother.
That's D-nailed it. Wouldn't want to poke an eye out.
Check out betterfuturesminnesota.com. That's betterfuturesminnesota.com. And don't forget to shop the Reuse Warehouse.
Hey, it's Tom. Fossil fuels continue to have negative impacts on our environment. Luckily, there are more ways now than ever to use renewable energy in your home or business. All Energy Solar offers smart energy solutions like custom solar paneling, electric vehicle chargers, and energy storage. Solar panel systems can last for decades, meaning you can help the environment and cut back on electric bills for years to come. There are incentives and rebates available to most people who install solar energy, too. Last year, the federal solar tax credit increased to a 30% tax credit. This incentive can be used in combination with other incentives from your utility, county, or city. But don't delay or miss out, as many of these incentives are limited to only a certain number of people. So have a professional from All Energy Solar help you discover how solar can power up your property while saving on your energy costs. Call 800-620-3370 or visit allenergysolar.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for partly cloudy skies today with a high near 89. Tonight, a slight chance for thunderstorms with a low around 70. And Saturday, more storms with a high around 83. Tap, taste, and treasure at Vinaigrette. They offer the finest in extra virgin olive oils, white balsamic vinegars, wine vinegars, and more. Reintroduce yourself to all of the many flavors by tasting before you buy. Vinaigrette is located off 50th and Xerxes in Minneapolis or at vinaigrettemn.com. Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It's the Matt McNeil Show. And I'm not Matt McNeil. I'm Todd Mikkelson. Matt's on vacation. So I'm here this week and next week. And we're going to have a special guest at 4:35. Mike Lester. He's got some big gigs at the Laugh Camp Comedy Club in St. Paul tonight at 8 p.m. and tomorrow night at 9 p.m. You can get tickets at camp-bar.net. And so, yeah, that should be fun and interesting. Right now, I would like to take some time to talk about some of the successes that the Minnesota legislature has put up. Charles Horowitz wrote something, and within it, he's interviewing Liz Bolden and Sandy Pappas, two senators from Minnesota. And I'm just going to read what he wrote. Seemingly every Democratic member of the Minnesota Senate was able to push through key priorities and send them to the desk of Governor Tim Walz, a champion for working families. One Minnesota, it's not a group, it's Tim Walz's idea for Minnesota. One Minnesota extended to social spending as well as the legislature passed a game-changing budget and rewrote the book on much more. More importantly, every Minnesotan will see benefits from their state's best legislative session ever. Elected officials are elected to deliver real results, and they certainly did so this time. Take infrastructure, for example. While not the most glamorous of topics, keeping roads, bridges, water treatment facilities, and other components of an economy's lifeblood fully maintained is critical towards ensuring a fully functioning economy. And that's true. These are things that people don't ever think about. Water treatment facilities, you know what life would be like without that? So it's extremely important stuff. And because they don't sound as sexy as other stuff, they have been being neglected too much. They don't make it into politics enough. You know, it doesn't sound as good as like I'm running to be your representative because I want to take care of water treatment facilities. No, now everybody's saying we got to stop the woke or whatever. Or now Democrats have to say, I'm running because I'm trying to save our democracy and, hopefully stop taking rights away from women and other people. No, really, you just got to run on, I want to fix the roads and bridges and water treatment facilities. And for example, reducing the amount of potholes. Oh, yeah. So when you do this, when you take care of these things, and these are the things that I've learned to talk about. I learned a lot more about these things when I ran for office. And I had good people helping me learn about them. And I developed my own way of talking about them to try and get people interested in stuff like this. Because when we maintain our infrastructure, it brings savings to the consumer. For example, reducing the amount of potholes in roads by fully paving them will cause fewer dollars to be expended on costly car repairs and fewer hours of work to be missed. I used to say as a small business, I still say it, as a small business owner, in my business, shipping is one of our biggest costs, if not our biggest cost. And because our infrastructure has been falling apart for decades now, it costs us a lot more because the delivery services keep raising their prices because they have to fix their tires and trucks and stuff. I also make the argument that, so I started to make more money. I was able to buy a motorcycle. And I don't want to just get a couple $1,000 extra in my pocket. I already own the motorcycle. I don't need the extra bucks. Like I said, I'm making enough money. I don't need the extra bucks. You know where I would like my tax savings that the Republicans always try and say they want to give the rich people? I would rather have it go into fixing the roads. So because I have extra money, I can afford a motorcycle. I can't enjoy riding my motorcycle until you fix the roads. That's how things work. And this session, we got a lot done. Minnesota's $2.6 billion infrastructure package will also boost economic development in traditionally underserved areas, helping to lift up the same minorities that infrastructure projects have traditionally been designed to undercut. $2.6 billion is unheard of, explained Senator Pappas. The public safety bill, of which the gun safety bills are a component, is an $850 million investment in a safer Minnesota. including funding to combat domestic violence, while finally raising spending for the court system and Department of Corrections so they can get more of the resources they need. It will also incentivize inmates to improve themselves while in custody. Paid family and medical leave, a long-sought priority, will finally be a reality, courtesy of a $1 billion per year package meant to compensate workers when illness, childbirth, or caring for relatives causes them to take some time off. This will drastically improve the mental health of Minnesota's workers, making them feel more valued and could ultimately lead to more productivity. And studies have shown that that indeed does happen. Thanks to a $17.5 billion surplus that meant Minnesota had more funds than ever before in state history, the legislature was able to fund these social programs, pursuing a path of fiscal responsibility while sending money back, in the most literal sense, to the taxpayers who have brought Minnesota to these important crossroads. A total of 2.58 million Minnesotans are expected to receive rebate checks, costing the state roughly $1.15 billion over the course of 2 years, in a victory for a key plank of the governor's platform. A child tax credit will also help to uplift many Minnesota families out of poverty, giving fresh opportunities to children across the state in a program thought to cost $794.5 million over 2 years. School children will also be eligible for universal free breakfast and lunch in a program signed by the governor as he was surrounded by smiling children in a now iconic photograph that for some reason Republicans hate. I don't know. Minnesota, already a climate leader, is set to lead even more thanks to a new clean energy package that puts forth concrete goals for the state to be 100% renewable by 2040. These goals take into account the need for sustained job creation while also serving low-income and minority communities. The bill also protects the rights of workers in the industry to form unions. Clean energy by 2040 is going to be really transformative and something especially young folks have been telling us for years, says Senator Bolden, Liz Bolden. We need to be taking action, she went on. The housing affordability crisis present in nearly every community will also finally be addressed as a $1 billion investment in real solutions. The first time this has ever happened in the state will raise money for affordable housing projects and programs in the state's 7-county metro region, which is where Minneapolis and St. Paul are located and is home to some 55% of the state's population. With funds for emergency rental assistance for first-generation home buyers who usually face atypically large hurdles in achieving home ownership, money for housing nonprofits, funds to redevelop and repair everything from mobile homes to apartments, as well as a massive $200 million housing infrastructure plan meant solely for on-the-ground projects and a state equivalent of the federal Section 8 program expected to aid over 5,000 renters. The affordable housing plan is truly unparalleled and, if successful, will provide a blueprint for other states to use. While other states were busy defunding their public education programs with coupons for the rich, Minnesota passed a staggering $23.2 billion K-12 education budget for the next 2 years, which is an increase of $2.26 billion or 10.2%. The funding formula for education will be raised further over the next few years before being indexed to inflation, ensuring that teachers will not see long-term real wage decreases like they've been seeing. Senator Liz Bolden explained, our education budget is historic. Making really, really strong investments in our public education systems is going to have a huge impact on families, as well as the work in the early childhood space. So will raising our Minnesota Child Care Assistance Program rates to the 75th percentile and enacting Great Start staff retention payments for child care providers. We talked about child care lack of funding yesterday. Other key parts of the bill include a $74.4 million increase in funding related to student health, especially important during the current mental health crisis epidemic, as well as $37 million to hire new teachers. Especially telling of Minnesota's progress is $45.2 million meant for school libraries. Again, while other states are basically shutting down their school libraries. And yeah, it goes on to say, as other states ban books, Minnesota is making sure all children can read what they want without big government overreach. Overall, the state's $72 billion budget, by funding these priorities and ensuring money will continue to be spent responsibly, will result in long-term savings to the taxpayer and a healthy financial future. To keep these priorities funded in the future, Democrats raised the state's gas tax to bring it in line with inflation and increased some fees while also relenting on a push to completely eliminate the state's Social Security tax, instead exempting more individuals. A $3 billion tax cut package compensated for any tax raises for working people and their families, while tax increases on corporations and the highest earners will even out the scale of fairness for all. Yes, something we are no longer afraid to do, and we have enacted it here in Minnesota. We need to level the playing field a little more. Like I said, Republicans always want to give people who make tons of money tax breaks. And they don't need the tax breaks. A lot of them would rather have the tax breaks go into the kitty and contribute to things like fixing the infrastructure and other things. Let's take a little bit of a break from this particular story. It's kind of a long one because the legislative session did a lot. A lot happened. And we do need to keep talking about it, but it is a lot. So let's take a short break. You're listening to AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Todd Mikkelson in for the Matt McNeil Show. We'll be right back.
I'm Peter Solak.
And I'm Adam Ostrowski.
We are here at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces to talk about outdoor fires. Sitting around a fire is the oldest, most basic form of human activity.
What's new is in the way fire is burned. We can show you how to burn cleaner with a lot less smoke.
The radiant heat and light from an open fire is unmatched. It kindles our spirits and connects us to the outdoors. And now it's easier to experience and enjoy.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces sells and installs wood and gas burning fire pits and fireplaces. Let us help you experience an outdoor fire without all the smoke.
Come see the many ways you can enjoy a fire outdoors.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces has over 35 working wood and gas units on display at the corner of East Franklin and Riverside Avenue in Minneapolis. More information at woodlandstoves.com. Find the fire that works for you. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, out of the ordinary products and services since 1977.
Hi, this is Chad from AM 950. Snap Construction is arguably the most well-reviewed roofing, siding, window, and insulation contractor in the metro. Ryan is so excited about working with AM 950 and our listeners that he wants to help us grow.
This is Ryan, owner of Snap Construction. I was friends with Chad long before I started marketing with him. I was a bit skeptical of radio advertising before Chad convinced us to run ads. The advertising's been so successful, we want to help the station grow. We've absolutely loved working with the listeners of AM 950, and we all know how extremely important this radio station is to the community. To help AM 950 grow, Snap Construction will be putting up proceeds to assist the station in marketing on social media. Snap Construction encourages you to follow, engage, share, and interact on the AM 950 social media platforms. Together, we can all work to ensure AM 950 continues to thrive and grow in our communities. We stand by our work with a lifetime craftsmanship guarantee. For a free estimate or more information on our financing, call 612-333-SNAP or check us out online.
Hey, John, I heard you're turning 65 this year. Time to start comparing your Medicare insurance options.
Oh, I am so overwhelmed with all the different Medicare companies and plan designs. I don't even know where to begin.
Really? I worked with compareyourmedicare.com and they made my Medicare decision seem easy.
Huh, really? Well, what do they do?
CompareYourMedicare.com represents several of the top Medicare insurance companies in Minnesota. A local licensed agent will help you compare Medicare plans to determine which products best meet your needs and budget.
Wow, that sounds a lot easier than going to a bunch of different Medicare seminars on my own.
Way easier. Just go to CompareYourMedicare.com and request a free, no-obligation review. You can even schedule a virtual consultation from the comfort of your own home.
Hi, this is Jared with CompareYourMedicare.com. We pride ourselves in serving our community's Medicare needs. Whether you're planning to retire early or work past age 65, we can guide you through how and when to apply for Medicare. Go to CompareYourMedicare.com to schedule a consultation.
AM 950, the Progressive Voice of Minnesota. Todd Mikkelson in for the Matt McNeil Show. Just going down some little news tidbits before we get back into our story. Arizona Governor Katie Hobbs has issued a new executive order that would centralize counties' authority to carry out abortion-related prosecutions with the state's attorney general, a shift likely to provide greater protection for abortion rights in the state. A really interesting thing here. There's an entity called the Wagner Group, and they're a mercenary group, a paramilitary group, people call them. And they've been fighting in Ukraine for Russia. But they were kind of abused by Russian leadership. They were sent into impossible situations. They were losing a lot of their guys. And now it looks like they've completely turned. The world is keeping a close eye on the Wagner Group after its leader threatened a rebellion against Russian leadership. That could be huge. So interesting news tidbit there. We were talking about the Minnesota legislative session and some of the many, many things that it accomplished because Democrats were in charge. And when Democrats are in charge, things get done. We don't sit around and talk about wokeness and M&Ms and, throw tizzy fits because a store has, rainbows in their displays. We don't sit around and on the House floor and talk about crap like that. We get things done. One of the Republicans' main critiques of the session was that taxes would be raised on some Minnesotans. But this assertion both ignores who the burden of these new taxes will be borne by and the real benefits that they will bring. And again, it has in parentheses here the point that I made before we went to break. These new taxes will be borne by those who far and away make enough to pay them. Sometimes you wonder why corporations spend so much money trying to make sure their taxes don't get raised. Why don't they just, instead of spending all that money on lobbying to Congress or the legislature, why not just pay that money in taxes instead? And then our roads would get fixed. Senator Pappas said, these issues are very popular with the public, and I think people are willing to pay more in taxes if they see a real outcome to what their taxes are paying for. For example, we have a freeze and thaw climate here that's exacerbated by climate change, and we have terrible road conditions. With simple things like that, people can see that we're putting more money into the roads. You get what you pay for, and if you have low taxes, you don't get very much. Of course, these Republicans also complained that the Democratic bills that passed would have been better had they had any input. But that is false. After all, with years of Republican obstruction, the only thing that happened to those Democratic priorities was being thrown in the trash bin every single year. Senator Bolden served her first term in the Senate. She's currently serving her first term in the Senate. She noted, one of the reasons I ran for the Senate, coming from the House, is because I had the experience of passing really good laws off the House floor, would send them over to the Senate, and nothing would happen. There was just obstruction. Minnesotans are tired of the gridlock. They want a government that works for them and is responsive to them. And it's true. In Minnesota, Republicans keep saying, oh, Americans want divided government. No, not anymore, because with divided government, Liz Bolden is right. All you do is make sure nothing happens. So why are you even there? Looking to the future, now that these priorities have been passed, it might seem as if there's nothing left to do. Kind of does seem like that. I've been fighting for paid family and medical leave for a long time. All of a sudden it's passed. And it's like, there are these coalitions and these groups that have been working on these measures, and now they're all passed. So what are these groups going to do? Anyway, now that these priorities have been passed, it might seem as if there's nothing left to do, but there is still work to be done. Gig workers need to be protected with minimum wage laws, and healthcare costs need to be lowered. Two major priorities that did not make it through the legislative session. More environmentally friendly legislation and some criminal justice reform also needs to pass next year. Senator Pappas says, we just made great strides, but I'm sure there will be more things that come up. However, this session was still a smashing success. The very fact that Democrats were able to stay united and deliver on their agenda with just one seat between them and total Republican obstruction is a testament both to their dedication to the people and the effectiveness of leadership that at ensuring that nothing got in the way of the powerful vision for a better Minnesotan future. There was a good team spirit, said Senator Pappas. We're all in this together with the desire to really not have gridlock, to really get things done. Minnesotans will see real change coming to their towns, schools, roads, more, and legislators will keep fighting for them. This is truly government by the people, of the people, and for the people. Already, they are commending their legislators, as Senator Bolden stated. I talked to folks in my district. They are really pleased and encouraged with the work that we've done. And what I'm hearing is, thank you for doing the work. Thank you for getting, passing a budget, being done on time. Thank you for listening to us. And that's the end of this article. And it's not even on a news entity. It's just out there. I found it on Twitter through Senator Pappas' Twitter account. And yeah, it's long. A lot got done. And the whole country is looking at Minnesota and basically saying, see? You see what you can do when you stop screwing around, complaining about M&Ms, and you sit down and take one step forward, one step at a time. You start to get things done. It's what we need to do. It's what they need to do in D.C. When we had Democratic control over the last 2 years, what happened? We got a lot done, and our economy, it needed saving, but it's coming back better. Build back better. So, yeah. Before we go to a break, there's a little bit more about this Wagner group. Russia's own Wagner commander just released a video that refuses every scumbag right-wing pro-Putin propagandist and useful idiot on this platform about the war. Tucker, Trump, Fox, Newsmax, OAN, you name it. To all of you, I say thumbs up. Or no, it's not. It's not a thumb. To all of you, I say a certain finger up. Yeah. By the way, I mentioned yesterday, seems like Tucker's kind of done. He's trying to do a show on Twitter, but nobody's noticing. Anyway, this leader goes on to say the war was not about liberating Russians in eastern Ukraine, not about supposed Nazis in Ukraine. No, it was what we said all along. Naked greed, ego, power, stupidity of the Russians, and that is it. That's the leader of the Wagner group. It looks like they are turning against Russia, which is, I'm sure we'll be finding out more about this, but it's bound to have huge, huge implications to the war in Ukraine. So it's very good news, and it's just happening right now. Yeah, this just didn't. So let's take a break, and when we come back, we're going to have our special guest, comedian Mike Lester. When we come back on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, Todd Mikkelson in for the Matt McNeil Show. We'll be right back.
How does this sound? Doesn't this sound better? If you've decided to level your home and build new or to renovate, hire Better Futures Minnesota instead to take it apart by hand. Think before you scrap. Think of the energy and greenhouse gases saved when someone repurposes your old cabinets, fixtures, and lumber. Think of all the resources saved by diverting those building materials from the landfill. Better Futures Minnesota makes it happen for you. Hennepin County residents and public entities, funds are available to make the environmentally responsible alternative comparable to a typical demolition. For more information, check out betterfuturesminnesota.com. That's betterfuturesminnesota.com or call 612-351-8650. And don't forget to shop the Reuse Warehouse in Minneapolis.
Hi, this is Paul Metza. Thanks for listening to the Wall of Power Radio Hour for the last 5 years on AM 950. We air every Saturday night at 6 p.m. We have artists, musicians, private detectives, politicians, and more. On AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Hi, this is Todd from 30 Bales on Main Street in Hopkins. My co-founder Tom and I developed our restaurant to celebrate everything Midwestern cuisine has to offer. Our upbeat neighborhood gathering place brings together bright personalities, bold recipes, clean ingredients, and craft spirits that play with the unique flavors of the Midwest. The menu at 30 Bales is inspired by seasonal ingredients grown close to home. Find us across the street from the Hopkins Center for the Arts at 1106 Main Street with plenty of free parking. Go to 30bales.com to learn more.
Hi, this is Ken Hageland, host of Living Healthy and Aging Well, inviting you to listen to our live call-in talk show airing every Saturday from noon to 1, where we talk about your health and your life and provide insights you need to know to live and age well. Each week, we talk with guests who provide answers to important questions regarding healthcare, elder care, end-of-life care, and self-care for caregivers, and help you and your loved ones plan for the future and enjoy your highest quality of life today. Please join us every Saturday from noon to 1 on AM 950 for Living Healthy and Aging Well.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. Even though Auto Technical is a small nonprofit, we have helped more families with transportation than any organization in Minnesota. Since '94, we have reconditioned donated vehicles so they have a higher tax benefit. Call Richard at 612-919-5526, 612-919-5526, or autotech.org.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for partly cloudy skies today with a high near 89. Tonight, a slight chance for thunderstorms with a low around 70. And Saturday, more storms with a high around 83.
If you've been waiting to replace those appliances, don't miss Warner Stellian's lowest prices of the season. Score instant savings, then up to 10% off, and a bonus for each additional appliance you buy. Put us to the test at warnerstellian.com.
Some sad-sounding music to bring in our next guest. Comedian, stand-up comedian and actor originally from Minneapolis, voted one of Minnesota's City Page's Artists of the Year in 2016. Mike Lester is with us. Hey, Mike.
Yo, how's it going?
Good. How's it going with you?
Good. I love that intro music.
Yeah. Maybe you should start your live shows with it. Get people in the mood for comedy.
Some sad piano, to combat the Taylor Swift crowds this weekend.
Oh yeah, you're competing with her.
Oh yeah, we've been competing against each other for years.
Right. So tell us about what you got going on this weekend.
I am performing one show tonight and one show tomorrow at Camp Bar in St. Paul, at the Lap Camp Comedy Club inside of the Camp Bar in St. Paul, Minnesota. 8 o'clock tonight, 9 o'clock tomorrow. I got Luke Pauling opening for me. I'm going to do about an hour of my new stuff. It's going to be a great time. And my tickets are not $1,500 like Taylor Swift.
Right.
And there are plenty of them still available.
All right.
For people to.
Yeah, you can get the tickets at campbar.net. It's camp-bar.net. And because it's in the Camp Bar, Robert Street, North St. Paul. Tell us, I think you came out with an album last year. Is that correct?
I did. Yes. It's Not Delivery. It's Mike Lester was my debut album. You can find it anywhere you find comedy albums, iTunes, Spotify. I recorded it at Sisyphus Brewing in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I had a great time. We recorded it during a snowstorm, yet we were still able to sell out both shows to show you the kind of the bandwidth of my fans. They don't care if there was 2 feet of snow. They wanted to come see me put it on vinyl, as they say. But yeah, I'm very proud of it. I think it's a great album.
Was it pressed on vinyl, actually?
No. Maybe someday.
Yeah.
Maybe someday I'll do a limited edition vinyl, just digital, only digital.
Yeah. So you and I have in common that we used to deliver pizza.
Yeah.
Did you ever
Where did you deliver?
I delivered pizza for a year. I lived in St. Cloud, Minnesota. I delivered pizza in Minneapolis too, because my career was starting in St. Cloud, and then when I came down to Minneapolis, of course, I wanted that career to keep going. So I delivered pizza in Minneapolis for a while too. Never had the naked woman open the door though. Did you ever have that?
No. I had plenty of naked men, but no naked women.
That's
plenty of naked men, no naked women.
Okay.
I've witnessed couples break up when I've delivered pizza, and I remember I delivered pizza one time. The guy he got dumped and he followed me out to my car to ask me for a ride. and I said I didn't want to give him a ride because he didn't have a shirt on and he was behaving erratically. And you know, that made me the bad guy. So,
right.
But shout out to the Uptown Domino's in Minneapolis, Minnesota for making sure I never stopped going to therapy because that was an afternoon delivery too. That wasn't even like a nighttime delivery.
What's the story with tons of naked guys, especially in the afternoon?
I don't know, man. They got a good deal on the pizza. I don't know. They want to air it out. I have no idea. I have never been in the frame of mind to be like, oh yeah, my delivery person won't mind this. I mean, we should have been doing contactless delivery decades ago. You know, like that should have been the norm way before all this other stuff happened. But yeah, just an unusual amount of naked men.
Wow. I had no naked men. So I don't know if it's, I must not be as good looking as you or something. I don't know. But,
well, yeah, they do call me the Taylor Swift of comedy. You know, I do have great cheekbones. I have a very flattering figure, so maybe there's something to that.
Maybe,
you know?
Yeah. You bring it out in the men at least.
In the hermit, I would say.
You know what else I always thought was when I was a pizza delivery guy, I had the worst cars I ever owned. So that seems to be true with most pizza delivery people.
Yeah, they either have like really bad cars or they have really nice cars they're leasing that they eventually crash and destroy.
Yeah.
You know, they're either they're either squirreling away for something, or they're dropping all their money on like the nicest car they can, just to like get T-boned 2 blocks away from the store for like texting and driving or something. But yeah, what kind of cars did you have?
Oh, I had a Ford Escort. I think they've only made that car for a few years. We're talking a long time ago, probably decades before you were a pizza delivery guy. But
Sure.
I had a Ford Escort. I had a Mercury Bobcat. We probably don't even know what these cars are. The Mercury Bobcat was the Mercury version of the Ford Pinto.
Okay.
You know how
All right.
Mercury just would take, the Ford Pinto and make like a slightly different grill, and maybe just the shape of the back lights would be slightly different. And then they would just call it a Bobcat instead of a Pinto. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what happened to me with my and I still drive this car. I have a Pontiac Vibe in 07, but it's basically just a Toyota Matrix with a worse body on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you started doing comedy when you were really young. Is that right?
Yeah, and I there are days I regret it.
Yeah. Well, I'm seeing here, I got some information on you.
Oh yeah.
And
go ahead.
And it goes beyond naked guys at pizza delivery, by the way. But
oh boy.
Your dad used to have to bring you to your shows because you were too young to get into the bars alone?
Yeah, he would bring me to the shows, and then he would take advantage of the 2-for-1s, and then I would drive him home.
Wow.
And that's how I learned to drive, actually.
And do comedy, right?
Yeah, exactly. 2-for-1. My own 2-for-1.
Yeah, cool. Man, that's a good deal for a father, actually. I should see if my daughter is interested in doing things at the bar so that I can do the same with her. Have her drive me home.
Yeah, we could start a whole app-based service on that.
Yeah. So you also have genuinely terrifying facial hair. Is this correct?
Oh, you don't like the facial hair?
I haven't seen it. This was.
Who's feeding you all this info, man? Where I got genuinely terrifying facial hair.
I'm a radio guy, man. I have connections.
I think I could probably guess who your connections are.
His connections are me, because I've got a picture of you since I'm preparing to post this interview online.
Oh, okay. It's great facial hair, man. It's great. And you can see it up close in person tonight and tomorrow at the Camp Bar.
Yeah, right. It's the kind of facial hair that makes men inspired to get naked around you, obviously. So, we got to take a break. Can you stick around a little bit longer, Mike?
Sure, I can stick around for one more segment.
Okay, let's take a short break. You're listening to AM 950, the Progressive Voice of Minnesota. Todd Mikkelson in on the Matt McNeil Show. We're talking to Mike Lester, and we'll talk to him more when we come back from a short break.
I love my Toyota vehicles, so when it's time for me to get my service done, there's only one place I go, Rudy Luther Toyota. They know Toyotas inside and out. It starts with them checking your alignment and tire treads with their Hunter Quick Check Drive inspection service. Oil changes, tires, batteries, wipers, no matter what you need done, they can help you with reliable Toyota parts and the best service team in Minnesota. Check out their website, rudyluthertoyota.com, for service and part specials just for Toyota vehicles. Get your Toyota serviced at Rudy Luther Toyota, 394 and 169 in Golden Valley.
This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, weekdays at 5 p.m. On our show, you'll hear about Native issues like treaties, protecting Mother Earth, and holding our elected officials accountable. Weekly correspondents like Dr. Stately, State Senator Mary Kunesh, Robert Lilligren and Bob Blake update us with the latest news from Turtle Island. Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues. Listen weekdays at 5 p.m. or watch the show on Native Roots Radio social media accounts. Ho-wah!
Get ready for the best and biggest fireworks selection at Fireworks City in Baldwin, Wisconsin. And now they have exciting news. Free stuff is back with a $200 or more purchase. But that's not all. They're bringing back their incredible get 3 for 1 low price deal on all multi-shot cakes. Stock up on these incredible multi-shot cakes and get 3 for the price of 1. At Fireworks City, we're your one-stop shop for all your firework needs. Located just 25 minutes from St. Paul, it's worth a short drive on I-94 to exit 19. And here's the best part. Buy one, get one for 99 cents on every firework. Don't just take their word for it. See all the fireworks in action on one of their many TVs. Experience the excitement firsthand and make an informed choice. Bring your family and friends and head over to Fireworks City in Baldwin, Wisconsin. Exit 19 off Interstate 94. Fireworks City guarantees a fun and family-friendly atmosphere. The best deal on fireworks is waiting for you. Buy one, get one for 99 cents.
Tune in for Philosophy Talk, the program that questions everything
except your intelligence.
Coming up, what is gender?
It's an oppressive system that sorts people into pink and blue boxes. We should get rid of it.
No, it's an important part of people's identities. We should celebrate it.
You want us to sort ourselves into pink and blue boxes?
We can have as many colors of boxes as we want.
What is gender? Next time on Philosophy Talk.
Philosophy Talk, every Sunday at 8 a.m. on AM 950.
End-of-life decisions are not easy to make. Hi, I'm Mary T. of Mary T. Hospice Care. It's important to make sure that this difficult time is meaningful and comforting to you and your loved ones. Our hospice team provides an individualized program of physical, emotional, spiritual, and practical care so your loved one is comfortable and not in pain. At Mary T. Hospice, we understand that choosing the right hospice care provider can be overwhelming, but we're here to assist you. Learn more today at marytinc.com.
AM 950, the Progressive Voice of Minnesota. Using Brett's cool bass distortion pedal with my electric piano on that song. And I got to say, this whole thing with the Wagner group in Ukraine and Russia is just exploding. The news is exploding. We're going to be hearing a lot about this over the weekend, I'm sure. But it looks like it's huge. It's going to be huge. And we are talking to a comedian and actor, Mike Lester. Mike, tell us a funny story about when you were in pest control.
Wow, how do you know all this stuff about me?
I'm a radio guy, man.
I feel like you're an FBI agent or something. I mean, a funny story about pest control. There was a time, pest control. You have to get up very early, right? You have to get up at like 4 a.m. You got to get up at 4 a.m. You got to be on the road by like 6 a.m.
Why?
To service these houses.
Because the pests are still sleeping, or why do you got to do it so early?
Exactly. You got to get a jump on the pests while they're still sleeping. That's like legit. Like, because once like yellow jackets like wake up, you either have to do it at like dawn or dusk, because the afternoon is kind of it can be a messy situation. But so anyways, you have to drink a lot of caffeine, obviously, if you're going to get up that early and function. So there was this time, because you're doing like 30 stops a day. You're doing 30 appointments a day in like a 12-hour day. So you got to get all these stops done. So you don't have a lot of opportunities to do bathroom breaks. Okay. So there was this house I did where I had to go to the bathroom, and the lady said I couldn't use her bathroom, and then she proceeded to follow me around, and then it started raining, and one thing led to another, and luckily I was wearing navy blue pants because I urinated myself in front of this old woman.
Did she notice?
I don't know. I really didn't care at that point.
Right.
We were kind of locking eyes while it was happening too.
Right.
So it's something that's edged into my mind forever. Just us standing in the rain. It was kind of romantic, just standing in the rain together while I sprayed the foundation of her house. And I'm just, it was both
with your own urine.
No, come on, man. I'd be in jail right now. No, I kept everything in. I did not spray the foundation of her house with my own urine. I sprayed the foundation of my socks and inside of my shoes.
But that must have been a nice warm feeling in the cold rain.
Oh, it's great. I mean, listen, like the actual act of it, the buildup was the scariest part. It's like a roller coaster. You know, the scariest part is like the lead up to the first hill. Once you're on the ride, it's pretty exhilarating. But yeah, I had to drive home from Blaine to change, and yeah, I fell behind that day. But that's probably yeah, I'll never forget that for the rest of my life. Just locking eyes with this old woman and fully just soaking my lower half.
Things that it seems like Blaine is just it makes sense that it happened in Blaine. Blaine just seems like the place where gnarly things happen. I used to play in bands and we had gigs in Blaine, and it was one time I saw a chair. There was a big crowd and their fight broke out. I saw a chair, like somebody swung a chair at somebody. They were threatening us in the band at one point. Blaine is a scary place where
people just let loose in more ways than one in Blaine.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. Yeah. And you did. But
I did. I lost control.
Yeah. So I know more things about you. Why don't we, like, you've done some things in your past. You appeared on.
What are you talking about, man?
Well, you produced a Cheez-Its thing for Funny or Die.
Okay, well now you're going off the bio. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've done a lot of commercial work. I was lucky enough to be in the Funny or Die building one day in LA, and someone said, "You look like a scientist. Will you come in and do this Cheez-It spot?"
Oh, that's cool.
Oh yeah. That's the glamorous life of Hollywood. The coolest things you do, you just kind of stumble into.
Cool. Yeah, that's true. That's been my so I'm wondering, is there a place that people can go to see some of your performance, like on YouTube or anything like that?
Yeah, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. It's all at Just Mike Lester. You can go to my website, justmikelester.com. It's all there. It's all linked.
Okay.
Go watch my stuff. If you go to my website, you can check out my album too. But yeah, that's the landing page for everything.
All right, Just Mike Lester, and it's just Lester.
Correct.
All right, and you're playing tonight. Tickets still available at camp-bar.net, because that's the place it's at, on Robert Street in St. Paul. Tonight at 8 p.m. and tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Within the Camp Bar in St. Paul, they have a thing called Laugh Camp Comedy Club, and you're going to be there tonight. Are you going to tell the story about peeing as a pest control guy?
I might have to now that
Yeah.
you reminded me of it. It's quite the tale, so maybe I will give that a go.
And did Naked Guys as a pizza delivery guy make it onto the album?
In a sense, yes.
Okay. You were also a personal care assistance guy.
Do you have like my resume in front of you right now?
No, it's just something that Patrick wrote up. And
I knew it, dude. Patrick Strait always selling me down the river, man.
There was one question I wanted to ask you, Mike, about the pizza delivery. When you said you had relationships end, is it because the woman said, Ted, that's the last time I'm going to remind you to tell them to leave the mushrooms off the pizza?
Is this Patrick?
This is Patrick.
Well, Patrick, how do you travel around this quickly? I mean, I never learned the nature of people breaking up because I was trying to get off their property as quickly as I could. That's kind of my response to domestic disputes. I'm a flighter. I'm not a fighter. So no, I don't know. I have no idea, Patrick. I have no idea why relationships start or why they end.
That's okay. That makes two of us.
It's usually bad communications between the two people involved in the relationship.
Yeah. You're the expert.
I'm the radio guy. I know everything.
You're the radio guy.
That's how you get on the radio.
That's how you get on the radio, and how you stay on the radio is a good marriage.
No, you have to know everything. That's why it's so difficult. That's why so few people do it. That and the pay is really bad.
Yeah, especially AM.
Yeah. Yes. I get paid exactly $0.00 to sit in on the Matt McNeil show. Even though
really, Matt doesn't throw you anything?
No. He's just gone on vacation. He doesn't care about me.
Yeah, where's Matt right now? He's got all this.
He'll never tell us. I know.
Oh, he's not even on vacation. He's just at home.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what he's doing, but yeah, he's not throwing me any bones. That's for sure.
Matt's at home hitting the saw.
Yeah, for all I know, I don't know. I think he's going to Taylor Swift tonight. He should be going.
What?
He should be going to Laugh Camp Comedy Club to see Mike Lester tonight at 8 p.m. or tomorrow night at 9 p.m.
Or both.
Yeah.
Go to both.
All right. Well, Mike, thanks for hanging out with us for a while here. We got to go, and it's the end of the week. I will be back next week. But, we'll talk to you later, Mike, and have great shows this weekend.
Take care, boys. Thank you.
All right. We'll be back on Monday.
Hi, I'm Kelly Tanky.
And I'm Joe Kirk.
Tune in to AM 950.